Crowns reclaimed, the hidden royalty among us. I want to begin today by acknowledging the extraordinary woman whose story and work has fundamentally altered how we understand Black heritage in America. HRH Princess Karen W.S. Brengettsy-Chatman isn't just reclaiming her royal lineage, she's rewriting history, challenging centuries of deliberate erasure, and creating pathways of dignity for countless others seeking their true origins. Her revolutionary work in genealogical justice stands as one of the most profound acts of historical reclamation of our time. Imagine discovering that the blood of kings flows through your veins, that the story you've been told about who you are, about who your people are, is incomplete at best, deliberately erased at worst. For generations, we've been taught that slavery stripped everything away: names, culture, history, identity. But what if I told you that some crowns were never truly lost, just hidden, preserved through whispers between mothers and daughters, through stories told in hushed tones after dark, through faith maintained against impossible odds? This is not a fairy tale. This is the reality uncovered by Princess Karen, direct descendant of Prince Abdulrahman Ibrahima ibn Sori, a royal African sovereign who was captured and enslaved in Mississippi in the late 1700s. They can take your freedom, but they cannot take your bloodline, Princess Karen shared during our interview, her voice carrying the weight and certainty of generations. The crown may be invisible to others, but it remains on your head if you know it belongs there. The story of the Royal House of Sori in America challenges everything we thought we knew about the survival of African royal lineages through the Middle Passage and beyond. It forces us to reconsider what was truly lost and what was preserved against all odds. When we talk about reclaiming identity, we often speak in abstractions, but Princess Karen's journey gives us something concrete, a roadmap for restoration that begins with a simple revolutionary act, refusing to accept erasure as the final word. For decades, historians believed that Prince Abdul Rahman's royal bloodline had disappeared into the anonymity forced upon enslaved peoples. His own remarkable story of capture, enslavement, and eventual partial emancipation has been documented. But what about his children? What about his daughter, Esther, who remained enslaved in Mississippi after her parents were freed? This is where Princess Karen's work becomes truly groundbreaking. Through painstaking research combining oral histories, DNA evidence, and historical documentation, she has not only traced her lineage back to Prince Abdulrahman and his daughter Esther, she has officially reclaimed her royal status as the first recognized sovereign of the Royal House of Sori in the United States. When I began this journey, Princess Karen explained, people told me it was impossible, that slavery had destroyed all records, all connections to royal lineages, that Black royalty in America was a fantasy. She paused, the weight of generations in her voice. But the impossible becomes possible when you refuse to accept the limitations others place on your history. The skepticism she faced wasn't surprising. We live in a world that has systematically denied the nobility, dignity, and personhood of Black people for centuries. The very idea that royal African bloodlines could survive the brutality of the Middle Passage and generations of enslavement challenges narratives that have been carefully constructed to justify historical atrocities. But survive they did. And the mechanism of that survival reveals another profound truth: the power of Black women as keepers of memory and legacy. Esther, daughter of Prince Abdulrahman and Isabella, remained enslaved after her parents' emancipation. Separated from her royal father, bearing the psychological trauma of enslavement, she nevertheless carried something precious, the knowledge of who she truly was. And she passed that knowledge down mother to daughter, grandmother to granddaughter, generation after generation of women who refused to forget, who maintained cultural rituals and oral traditions that preserved their royal identity, even when speaking it aloud might have meant death. The women in my family, Princess Karen shared, carried royalty in their bones when they couldn't wear it on their heads. My great grandmother, Annie Bell, knew who she was. My grandmother knew. My mother knew. And they made sure I knew. This matriarchal preservation of identity, this refusal to surrender to erasure, represents a form of resistance so profound it takes your breath away. These women maintained dignity and royal consciousness under conditions designed to strip them of both. They performed the radical act of remembering when forgetting would have been easier. The story of Esther had never been fully told until Princess Karen's research brought it to light. The resilience and strength of this royal daughter, forced to live her life in bondage while carrying the knowledge of her true heritage, became the foundation for future generations' survival and pride. Esther's story is not just my family story, Princess Karen emphasized. It's the story of countless Black women who held on to pieces of identity that the world was determined to take away, who passed down truths in whispers and songs and prayers when written records were denied them. This preservation through the maternal line offers a template for other families seeking to investigate their own hidden histories. It reminds us that official documentation is not the only form of historical record, that oral tradition, cultural practices, and spiritual beliefs can preserve truth even when paper records are destroyed or never created. But Princess Karen didn't stop at uncovering her family's story. She has created a comprehensive model for what might be called genealogical justice, the reparative work of correcting historical records and restoring dignity to lineages that have been deliberately obscured. Her memoir includes appendices with genealogical charts, historical documents, and educational resources. It combines oral history with DNA verification and scholarly research to construct a verifiable, dignified record of Black royal lineage. It provides a new narrative for Black sovereignty in America. This work isn't just about my family, Princess Karen insisted. It's about challenging the widespread erasure of Black nobility and the prevailing myths about enslaved Africans' backgrounds. It's about creating educational resources for families, schools, and communities that tell a fuller, more accurate story of who we are and where we come from. The impact of this work extends far beyond one family's restoration. It empowers others to seek their own histories, challenges dominant narratives, and fosters pride and healing in the African diaspora. As Maya Angelou once wrote, history, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Princess Karen's work embodies this courage, the willingness to look unflinchingly at historical trauma while reclaiming the dignity and power that trauma attempted to destroy. The question for all of us becomes, what histories are we willing to reclaim? What stories have we accepted as complete when they are, in fact, missing crucial chapters? What identities have we surrendered that might still be recovered? Begin researching your family lineage, Princess Karen urged during our interview. No matter how many obstacles stand in your way, use oral traditions, DNA research, historical documents, whatever tools you can access. Uncover and honor your true origins, challenge narratives that deny your heritage, and share your story with your community. This call to action isn't just for those who might discover royal ancestry. It's for anyone whose family history has been fragmented by oppression, migration, or deliberate erasure. It's an invitation to engage in the revolutionary act of remembering. I stand before you today, not just to share Princess Karen's remarkable story, but to issue a challenge. What will you reclaim? What truth about your origins lies dormant, waiting for your courage to bring it to light? The world has always been full of those who would erase identities that challenge their power, but it has also always been full of those who refuse to be erased, those who remember, those who preserve, those who pass down truth against all odds. Which will you be? Each of us carries histories that have been partially told or deliberately silenced. Each of us has the power to recover what seems lost. This is not just about the past, it is about creating a future where no one's lineage is deemed disposable, where no one's heritage is considered unworthy of remembrance. When we reclaim our histories, we don't just change our own stories, we change the story of humanity itself. We force a reckoning with truths that have been buried, with peoples who have been marginalized, with realities that have been denied. The crown you uncover may be invisible to others, but once you know it belongs to you, no one can ever take it away again. This is the legacy of Princess Karen Brengettsy-Chatman. This is the invitation she extends to all of us to see the crowns that have been hidden, to recognize the royalty that exists among us, to understand that reclamation of identity is not just a personal journey, but a collective act of resistance and healing. The time for reclamation is now. Your history is waiting. Will you answer its call?